All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Garrett Bergquist, government reporter for Wish TV and the producer of All Indiana Politics. Congressman Jim Banks' decision to vacate his seat and run for the Senate touched off a scramble in Northeast Indiana. 3 candidates are running for his seat this fall: Republican Marlin Stutzman, Democrat Kiley Adolph, and Libertarian Jarrad Lancaster. We invited all 3 candidates to appear on All Indiana Politics. Stutzman's campaign did not respond to multiple requests for comment, but Adolph and Lancaster did. I sat down with Lancaster to discuss his run for office.
Looking for ways to save on your energy bills? AES Indiana has you covered. From smart thermostats to home energy assessments, we offer simple solutions to keep your home comfortable and your costs down. AES can help you save money and energy with kits, tips, rebates, and more. Visit aesindiana.com/ways to save to learn more about how we can help you save money. AES Indiana, helping you discover real ways to save.
And joining us now is the Libertarian candidate for the 3rd Congressional District, Jarrad Lancaster. Jarrad, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Why are you running for Congress?
Wow, there's a long story. One of the main reasons, or I guess what got me involved in the politics, was when we hit COVID and believing in the bodily sovereignty, I was involved with the convoys that went to D.C. in 2021. I was one of the original founders of the American Freedom Convoy to D.C., and we sent convoys to D.C. Basically from there, I was invited to speak at the Capitol in Wisconsin about the convoys, but they were working election integrity. We got into some election integrity things, mainly Wisconsin and Arizona was kind of my main focus. And then at that point, Mr. Banks said that he was going to run for Senate instead of Congress, and it was a deal where it was, if not me, who, and if not now, when.
So the economy is playing a big role in this election, especially inflation and the cost of housing. What's your plan to deal with those 2 issues?
You know, I think that one of the biggest players that we have for inflation right now is really a lot of the omnibus bills that we are just printing endless money. We have everything going on with Ukraine. We have everything going on with Israel. And from a libertarian standpoint, we don't believe that we should be involved in those situations. So, you know, I would not be voting to send any money to either one of those conflicts.
So, but going back to the issue of government spending, so basically you blame government spending for the inflation situation?
I think that plays a huge part. I mean, it's not just the spending, it's the printing of the endless money that drives that inflation as well.
The southern border and immigration are also major topics this time around. What's your plan for dealing with the situation at the southern border?
You know, unfortunately, I think that when everybody hears to secure the border, they hear close the border. And I don't think that that's the situation at all. I don't think that we need to close the border, but I do believe that we need to secure the border. But I think that we need to find a way to actually streamline our immigration system. It's ridiculous that it takes somebody that is seeking to have a better life within the United States 12 years and thousands of dollars in fees to be able to become a legal citizen. I think that we need to streamline that, and that will allow actually more numbers within immigration in, and if we do it correctly, it will allow the people that are already citizens some safety within vetting, so we don't have the concerns that that the right seems to be concerned about, and it satisfies more or less really what the left is concerned about as far as the immigration numbers.
We had another school shooting earlier this fall, this time at a high school in Georgia. And actually, as we speak right now, we just had another shooting over the weekend that in Birmingham, Alabama. How should Congress address this issue? Other countries don't have, other industrialized countries don't have the level of mass shootings or firearm homicide we do.
You know, I think that we need to sit back and ask ourselves some serious questions about what's driving this. I mean, I'm a product of the 80s. I graduated in the late 80s, and I can remember driving to school and seeing we had gun racks in our trucks, right? And we didn't have this issue. So it's not, I don't believe that it's the gun and the gun ownership that's causing this problem. I think that we have some mental health issues that we really need to look at and ask ourselves what it is that's actually driving this issue.
Our national debt is now at $35 trillion and climbing. What's your plan to bring it down?
Well, again, and we kind of come back to the endless printing of money, all the omnibus bills that are going on, the sending money to all these other foreign countries. I'm kind of happy right now, in all honesty, to see some of the bidding wars that's going on between Harris and Trump when it comes to the taxation issues, right? So we had everybody, and it doesn't matter who said what first, but when we were talking about no taxation on tips, both candidates, right? And now Trump has came out and said, well, let's take no taxation on tips, and I'm gonna raise you no taxes on overtime. So in all honesty, I'm really hoping now that Harris will come out and say, okay, I will raise you no taxes on Social Security and unemployment. And then if with any luck, Trump will come out and say, you know what, I'll just raise you, let's get rid of the income tax and let's just go to a flat sales tax, because with that, the American people win. It's still taxation, but the right complains that the rich aren't taxed enough, so that takes care of that flat tax. And the left says that the rich aren't taxed enough. That takes care of that with a flat sales tax. And then also we have on the immigration side of it, we're paying our tax dollars on the immigration side of it, and we have the undocumented people that don't pay into our tax system. So with a flat sales tax, that would take care of that too. Satisfies the right, satisfies the left. So I think that, and along with that, then we could greatly reduce the number of people that we have within the IRS, which is also going to save the taxpayers money.
So I want to be clear here. So you would advocate replacing the current income tax system with a nationwide sales tax?
Absolutely.
So how do you offset the fact that sales taxes have been shown to disproportionately impact lower income taxpayers? Well,
again, you have the left is saying that the rich on the right, they don't pay their fair share. That takes care of that. That will dump that money. If that argument is valid, that will dump that money back into the system, because every time they spend $1, they're going to be paying the same amount of tax. So, also, if you aren't being taxed on your wages, if you aren't being taxed on your income like that, That should allow more money on the system. That should ease that up. Every time somebody works overtime, they're going to have their full gross pay, minus their Social Security tax at this point, and that will allow them to have more spendable money, more spendable income.
Let's turn to foreign policy, and you alluded to this earlier. Would you support continued military aid for Ukraine?
No, absolutely not.
How about Israel?
No. And this is, I've really wrestled with this, because when everybody says that this is an attack on Judaism, and I don't see that, because Israel is their own government, right? If the United States is attacked, and we're basically, or mainly a Christian-based nation, if the United States was attacked, the people, we aren't going to hear from anybody really that it's an attack on Christianity. I think that we have to look at the things that are going on with Israel and Palestine as the fact that Palestine has their government whether we agree with it or not, and Israel has their government whether we agree with it or not, and it's the policies from the governments that have caused this, not the people. The people are paying the price. And the only thing, and we're playing both sides to the middle. We're giving money to Palestine, we're giving money to Israel. What's the win there? The only win is we're funding both sides to continue this.
We've talked a lot about national level policy issues so far. What's one thing that's specific to the 3rd District you'd like to work on if you're elected?
So, and it kind of drives back to national policy, but we have a lot of things going on in the 3rd District right now. One with green energy, and that's the taxpayers' dollars that's footing that bill. So, you know, at the federal level, I don't think that the taxpayers should be footing that bill for the green energy. If these green energy companies can come in and they can do these things without the subsidies, then I'm all for them. But for the taxpayers to have to foot that bill, I don't believe that they should have to. So another thing that I would like to do too, especially when it comes to fire, police, and EMS, is because I am a retired volunteer firefighter, I would like to be able to place somebody within my office, within the 3rd District, that can help these departments write grants to be able to seek money that is there. And then if they can do that, because that money is already there, then hopefully these departments won't have to look at raising the tax burden of the people within the district to continue to fund these departments.
What do you say to voters who fear that voting for you would only ensure that the Democrat or the Republican, whichever one they don't want to see in office, wins?
At some point, we have to get past this fear. You know, everybody that I hear on the MAGA side of things say that they like Trump because he's not part of the system. But then they turn around and they vote for the same system that they say that they're against for Trump, right? And like I said, at some time we have to break the chains, and we have to start going outside this system. We have, on the Republican side, for example, we have approximately 16 people that are there with the Freedom or the Liberty Caucus. And the rest of the Republican Party follows pretty much down the strict Republican lines. Either we can start sending people there that's willing to stand basically in both sides in the middle of the aisle and look at both sides and go, you know what, this isn't right. Or we can continue to send people there that's just going to keep going right down the party lines.
What makes you the best choice in this race?
You know, I've been boots on the ground. It's no secret. I've been a Republican from the time I was 18 to the time that I was 53. Working the election integrity side of things, I saw the disconnect within the RNC and the GOP with working this election integrity and allowing their own candidates to be disenfranchised. You have, for example, Kentucky's a good example. You have Mitch McConnell that's actually been voted to be censured in, I believe it's 17 counties. And the state GOP and RNC won't recognize it. So who do these people that are supposed to be representing us actually work for? Here in Indiana, we've already seen it with Todd Young. And if the people of Indiana, for example, vote for Trump, and that's who the people of Indiana want, why did the RNC and GOP not censure Todd Young when he came out and said that he was a never-Trumper? So, like I said, we're at the point now where we need somebody that's willing to stand in the middle of the aisle and tell both sides that they're wrong when they are wrong.
Jarrad Lancaster, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
That was Jarrad Lancaster, Libertarian candidate for Indiana's 3rd Congressional District. Remember, you can catch All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30, only on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.